So what school are we at here today in Dublin, Ireland?
It's St. Michael's Holy Faith Secondary School.
And you're the principal?
I'm the principal, John Barry.
And what's your name?
John Barry.
Okay, John Barry. And then we also have the deputy principal?
That's right, yeah.
And your name?
Noreen Russell Kennedy.
Okay. So secondary school is what? Grades what to what here?
12 years up to 18.
18.
Yes.
So it'd be 6 grades.
6th grade. Well, yes. An option of transition year, which is between the junior cycle and senior cycle.
And I mentioned, a minute ago you mentioned this was a DESH school.
Yes.
How do you spell DESH?
Delivering,
What's the acronym?
DEIS.
okay, delivering
Yeah.
equality in schools.
Okay. And so there's a lot of low performing or a little bit low socioeconomic schools in throughout the United States, and this money is granted for this here?
Yeah, we're given some extra resources.
Yeah.
In terms of financial. We're given extra resources, both financially and also teaching resources. And we have what is called a school completion program, where we try to ensure that our students get through the 5-6 years. We're in what is designated a disadvantaged area. Well, we never use that term here. Okay. Noreen has a way of saying that even though we're in a disadvantaged area, we try to ensure that none of our students are disadvantaged in any way.
Okay.
So we provide a lot of services that other schools in other areas would actually charge for. For example, after school study. We don't charge for that. We encourage the students to stay on an extra hour and a half at the end of the day, study free of charge.
So when you say study, they get help from other teachers, or?
2 ways. We have a homework club, but we also have a facility where they get a cup of tea, biscuit, and then do their homework or do some study in a quiet environment. We offer that 5 days a week. We offer it on Saturdays. We offer it during Easter breaks, that kind of thing.
So on Saturdays, they have actually a school here.
We just open for students to come in and do some work on their own.
And teachers are there to help them?
One teacher supervises them,
Okay.
an adult, but it's really for giving them a quiet space, because a lot of them don't have space or quietness at home.
Do the parents support this?
Well, we don't charge for it,
Right.
but we encourage them to.
So how many kids on a
Well,
typically Saturday
again,
would
on a
show?
Saturday we might have between 10 and 20.
Okay.
Okay, a small proportion. It's usually for our 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a kind of a change in culture, right? 10 years ago that wouldn't have happened. 5 years ago I might have got 5. Now they're actually coming to me, looking and asking me, is Saturday study on? Is there study during Easter? That wouldn't have happened. So it's gradually changing.
So typically, what type of income would a family make in this area?
It's very hard to judge. There would be unemployment. There would be a lot of on social,
In this area?
Yeah,
Yeah.
social
Huge.
security.
Really?
Yeah, there'd be a lot of, I suppose, what we might call dysfunctional families.
Mhm.
Okay, where there might be only one parent, or a parent and a stepfather or stepmother.
Sure.
There'd be a lot of that.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, and parents dependent on social welfare.
Yes.
Like a lot of students with like a lot of support like that, I suppose, welfare, medical cards.
Yeah.
Is there a large social welfare program here in Ireland?
I suppose there is, yes, and some people benefit greatly from that. Some people abuse it, but there is
Mhm.
there is both. If you're out of work, you get a payment. There's rent support. There's housing support. There's here in our school we get some money for books, so we do a book rental scheme.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, our new first year's coming in September. If they were to buy all the books, it might cost 500 or 600 euros. We just charge 250 euros and provide all their books for 3 years.
So at a regular school, they would have to pay for their books. Is that right? Or the government
in
pays?
most schools.
Yes.
No, to buy their own books.
Okay, and then the government, they don't pay for their uniforms, right?
No.
Here you don't get.
No, we don't get any money. What we do is they buy the uniforms as a local shop. Right. But if there's a particular student struggling,
Mm-hmm.
we provide it. or a charity might provide money towards Vincent de Paul, for example, would support that as well.
Okay.
We also provide, I don't know what time you arrived this morning.
8:30.
Some kids come in at 8. We have a breakfast club where they come in, get a cereal, cup of tea. And again, there's two benefits of that. They're getting something to eat and eating a proper breakfast. But also there's a quiet space.
Okay.
I don't know, did you get a sense of movement around, but there isn't too much noise, it's calm.
Any school I've been in so far,
Yeah.
some of them I haven't heard a lot of noise.
Yeah, it's just, we encourage that calmness when they come in. There's a quiet space for them to have their breakfast. We also provide a lunch for them as well. Again, that's subsidised.
Yeah.
We get some money for that from the department.
It's an all-girls school, and I
All-girls.
see that's kind of a trend here. You don't really see that trend in the United States. Do you think there's benefits to that, or?
Well, I suppose we have always been all girls. I mean, I'm here since 1984.
In this school?
In this school,
Wow.
yeah. I came as a teacher. I myself went to a co-ed school, but I came as a teacher in 1984 and principal since 2004. We're the only all girls in Finglas, and some parents, the majority of parents, would rather their daughters went to an all girls school. Benefits, there's benefits, there's pluses and minuses both.
So what's the pluses and minuses?
Or
what do you
you
think?
want to-
Maybe the girls are more focused and they're less intimidated by.
Well, it takes away that I suppose the competitive edge between boys and girls. It's hard for us to judge. It's hard for me to
difficult
judge
one.
because I've never, I suppose, taught in a co-ed school. But I suppose it's what you get used to, and it's. I know we have a link with some of the schools in the area, and on a Tuesday afternoon, some boys do come into the school, and then they're very much the focus of attention, and the hormones kind of break out of it. But, benefits, I mean.
Maybe there's less distraction for them.
Yeah.
Potentially less distraction for them during the day if it's an all-girls setting.
Yeah.
Do most parents seem to want to send their kids to Catholic schools here and throughout Ireland?
Well, if you look at the newspapers, you'd think not. But we are the biggest school in Finglas Square, the all girls school. We have 120 new first years starting in September. So our numbers were about 450 back in 2009. So we've been growing. So, and we're a Catholic school. And when I talked to the parents, I said we're a Catholic school. But do they say, I want to send my daughter to St. Michael's because it's a Catholic school or it's an all-girls school, or because of our reputation? I'd say the reputation would be number one, and how we're perceived in the area, and that a lot of, because of the area we're in, a lot of our time, a lot of Noreen's time and the yearheads would be dealing with social issues and dealing with mental health issues.
Do you have a social worker that goes out or somebody that does that?
We have, well, a homeschool liaison person. That's
Just for the school?
Just for the school.
And a lot of their time is spent at going out to
Go out to parents,
knocking on homes?
meeting kids, and
Yeah.
but a lot of you see, we have a staff here who have eyes open all the time for kids in trouble, and we would have a number of kids self-harming, suicidal thoughts, and so on. So we're constantly dealing with that.
I suppose, we pride ourselves on the care that we give and try to give to the students all the time. We have a very good and strong pastoral care system in the school with all of our staff.
We also have guidance counsellors, and we have also psychotherapist comes in once a week and meets 6 or 7 kids, and so it's because the system is so backlogged out there, the HSE.
Trying to access services for kids
It's
outside
very
school is difficult,
And even to say to the parent, bring your daughter to a doctor, that's simple for us to say, but to get an appointment, if they don't have a medical card, they have to pay for it. That's huge costs. So we try to back that up here. Now, if you're asking me, what's the most important here? Academic results or care for the students? We would say care for the students. Because one, if you look after your students and if they're happy coming in that gate, the other will follow.
Mm-hmm.
Now, academic is important. We're trying to get obviously the best possible results for them, but it's the minute they come in those gates, they know they can talk to someone in here.
Mm-hmm. When is the person that goes out to the home liaison?
Okay.
Is that a teacher?
Yes, he was a former teacher. Yeah,
Okay, former teacher.
Yeah.
So they're paid just what a teacher's paid.
correct.
Okay, so then do they just show up unannounced or?
Well, they try to make contact, make phone calls. Sometimes they can't get through. They would go out if it's an attendance issue or
Oh,
if
okay,
if it's a worry issue.
But you think it's important because this concept is kind of pretty foreign.
Yeah. It's a link. It's a parent. You know, if you have the right person in the job, they create a link with the parents and a connection.
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose and trust and build up trust with them. Okay.
Yeah.
And not to judge. You know.
Yeah, it's that confidence. Some of our parents, like, I suppose, just a little bit of background. We would have kids coming into school here. I had a father here last week speaking to a fifth-year student who was having difficulties in school and whatever. And he actually said to her, "Look, I don't have an education. I dropped out of school when I was 12 or 13. I have no education. So, and this is what I want for you."
Mm-hmm.
He said, "I can't." You know, he said his academic attainment was really, really low.
And that would be
yeah.
There'll be a lot like that.
We would
And
have
it's a
that.
generation change. But it is changing. Okay, applications for third level would have been quite low 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We're improving that.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about self-esteem, self-confidence. I mean, because their parents haven't gone on to further education, because their parents that we kind of that's not for us. But we're trying to say it is for you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that the whole set. We're big into trying to improve their self-esteem in loads of ways.
But generally, would you say there's a value for education in the Irish society? I mean, you know, kind of that Ireland values education.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And values teachers.
And the parents around here would as well. I mean, we would have we would have students from the travelling community as well. And for some of them, they might be the first in their family, the first generation to actually finish school, let alone go on to third level, let alone go on to college. So it's a huge thing for them, like for their parents to say to them, like, we want you to finish your education and to actually perform and go on to colleges.
But is there a history that backs the value of education here? Kind of a long generational, you know, where.
Yeah, I would have thought so. I mean, now, okay, back in the 60s, 70s, maybe people wouldn't have finished out their second level, but now definitely the majority do finish out second level, and the majority now are going on to third level.
Is second level compulsory?
Yes, up to age 16.
16 years,
Yeah.
and then they can leave if they want.
They can leave, yeah, but we have a very...
But the most of them stay.
Yeah. We have a low dropout, yeah.
You'd need to look up the year that free secondary education was introduced, because in my parents' time, and like they would be in their late 70s and early 80s, there wasn't free secondary education, and that was a huge barrier
So if you
to
couldn't
people
pay,
in this country.
you couldn't go.
Absolutely.
Right.
And a lot of people like left school at 13, 14 years of age. A lot of them in that generation. So
But now it's seen as, you know, by parents that the way to get on is to stay in education.
Okay.
they value